You're welcome back, and you're still watching the conversation on Lagos television. On August 23rd, 2024, history was made in Nigeria as the second female Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, was sworn in as the acting Chief Judge of Nigeria. Presently, she's 66-year-old, and she's said to be the youngest woman, and of course, the fifth female Supreme Court Justice in Nigeria. Now she's been she's been appointed as the acting Chief Judge of Nigeria, pending the screening and the approval of the National Assembly. There has been so many issues around the appointment of this CJN, and of course, the task ahead of Honorable Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, especially now that the common man are beginning to lose confidence in the judicial sector of the country. We have joining us this morning, Jide Ologun. Jide Ologun is a lawyer as well as a public affairs analyst. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on the program. Okay, so let's start with your assessment of the current Nigeria judicial system before we move into the task ahead for the new CJN. What's your assessment?
Thank you very much. You know, like he mentioned, there is indeed a very wide trust gap between the citizens and the judiciary because of perceived injustice in that sector. And you know, you recall that the last general elections that we had in Nigeria also prompted that question of justice. Though to a large extent, the judiciary tried to present to the society some of the expectations, particularly when you are making reference to litigation, because if you look at Section 131 of the Evidence Act of Nigeria 2011, it says if you approach the court and you are alluding to some fact, it's your responsibility to prove those facts. So, and that is why you saw some decisions being read for about 12 hours and so. But by and large, like a wise man said, the biggest room is the room for improvement. So, and if you want to profile the tenure of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, who just retired now, there were issues, you know, even with the incoming Chief Justice, the acting Chief Justice. You remember the case of Imo State, and citizens were wondering why the fourth candidate should emerge as the fourth. But having said that also, if you study that case deeply, it was also a matter of not really pushing your case, because there was some technical diligence required from the other side that was not present before the court. And the court is not Father Christmas to just award marks to you without having held your case firmly. So those are some of the issues. But by and large, let me summarize everything in the words of Lord Hewart. Lord Hewart, you know, the Lord Justice of England, Chief Justice of England in 1924 said that justice should not only be done, but clearly seen to have been done. And Plato said that, you know, the core issue about justice is balance and harmony. And let me also bring in the quotation of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, threat to justice anywhere. You know, that injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. So we need justice in the human society to really have a decent society.
Okay. My own question is going to dwell more on the politics of appointment of judges and the removal of judges. How will the new acting CJN ensure that she's able to muscle the strength to navigate the politics of appointment and removal of judges? And can we actually separate the judicial sector away from politics? Because we have seen people suddenly becoming senior advocate of Nigeria because of their godfather, because of the political influence that we have. What do you think she can do in this direction to at least salvage the judicial sector of the country?
It's also a matter of justice. You know, justice is all encompassing, and in a simple expression, do the right thing. And let me mention that in her appointment. I mean, she's the second most senior. Talking about the outgoing, the retired CJN. So, and we can make reference to how some chief justices in the country were removed. For instance, Onohe is still in court now. It was a very bad situation when, he was brought out of office by virtue of the code of conduct, the tribunal, and even right now it's an embarrassment to the country, because what we understand is that his case file is not even available in the Ministry of Justice. So you saw political power holders trying to intimidate that arm of government. We have three arms of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. And we are monitoring to see how far the ousted Chief Justice Onohe will go with that case. Very embarrassing. And again, you look at internal crisis. For instance, when the man who came in after Onohe left office, he left office on the platform of corruption.
Yeah.
That he was not equipping, exactly, he was not equipping the justice to do their work. He was not giving them the training and some other allegations. And he was eased out of office without proper prosecution. You see, if you read section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says clearly that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. You see, so we have a lot to really work on when it comes to having a society that travels on the flight of justice. And then we cannot rule out the intervention of politicians, and then again, it's for the judiciary to stand firm, because at the end of the day, it's the judiciary that will interpret the law. And I keep saying this: if you don't defend justice today, you may be the victim of injustice tomorrow, and that reference was even prompted when the former CJN Onohe was passing through his own valley of intimidation. You see, so let's stand firm for justice and let's rescue our society. But that is not to say that there's no justice in Nigeria. But like I mentioned earlier, we can keep improving, because there are some justices who will stand their ground, even though there are allegations of corruption. And some will come up to argue that the issue of corruption is very pervasive in our nation, that it's not just that it cuts across board. And of course, I agree with that also.
Okay, so a school of thought says that the court presently operates the 1844 model of, English court. Do you agree with this, school of thought? And if indeed that is what we are operating in Nigeria, what do you think the CJN can do to turn this around?
When we have new officers coming to office, we prompt up these issues. But are we as a people ready to drive that change? Which is important to me. And it only shows that the colonialists really impressed on us. And not just in the judiciary, where we still have the practice of this old system reflecting their own culture to a large extent. Even in the police, by the grace of God, I'm a chief superintendent of police. And then I can tell you, doing the history of police, it dates back to a year that we amaze you. And the foundation of police system in Nigeria is still what is affecting the system today, that it appears is not delivering the mission and the vision. And the vision of the Nigerian police is to give us a safer and more secure society for economic development and growth, So, and you find out that as a people, we have not been bold enough to come out of the mold of the colonial indoctrination and set up our own structure that will put us on the path of prosperity and, of course, actually branding ourselves for who we are. I think China has succeeded in doing that. You look at some countries of the world like Singapore and all of them, You see, and you look at the UAE, for instance, they have been able to set the track of where they want to move in life. So it's not just in the judicial system. So when you are now saying that she should, I hope she will be able to drive it. She will be the overall person presiding over the Judicial Council.
NJC.
Of course, exactly. So we hope that she will be able to, through her influence, to make the change. But don't forget that she's just one of the 21 justices. And now that Honorable Justice Ariwola has left, there are 20 justices. And that's one of the achievements of Honorable Justice Ariwola. You know, it was during his tenure that the Supreme Court had a full complement of 21 justices by bringing in 11 other justices. So we wish her the best. But let me say this, Nigeria is such a place that it may not be easy for an individual to drive a change, except you are ready to step on heads, not even toes and shoulders. You see, because we've had many leaders coming to office promising we will do this, we will do that, and when they get there, all you hear, for instance, is that powerful people are behind illegal mining in Nigeria, and these powerful people appear to be untouchable. So, but I wish that she will appreciate this opportunity and put in her best. It's an opportunity. I always say it. So you maximize that opportunity, yes. So right the wrongs and improve. The essence of succession is that you improve on what is on ground and you hand over to whoever succeeds you. So while congratulating my Lord, the Honorable Justice Kekere-Ekun, I also wish her the best in office, and may I crown that by saying, a day comes when you also step out of office and you look back at what you have done, and you need to be careful about people who are around you. You must set your own smart goals.